Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, we give all honor, glory, and praise to the Most High God, Abanaw Yahweh. We do so in the name of His only begotten Son, Mashiach Yahushai. Welcome back. Pardon us for the delay. One, there's a situation with YouTube where anything within the first 10, 15 minutes, if you say anything that is against their community guidelines, then they'll flag your video and they will take it off, and then it'll pretty much be like a strike against your channel. I think it's 3 strikes and you're out. So usually we always are going to turn the live stream on, and within about 10, 15 minutes, that's when we'll start. It took a little bit longer. Deacon is currently live right now, so we was trying to give him some time to conclude his video, which it still hasn't, but it's all good. We're gonna start because we got to keep our schedule right and tight. And yeah, man, let's get into it. Today, we're gonna go into something. We're gonna go into something that I've been wanting to talk about for a long time, right? This is a pamphlet, or like a brochure, so to speak, from the African American Museum in Washington, D.C., right? As you can see, 2 seconds. But my bad. So something I want to talk about, man, something I want to go into. We have a problem amongst our people with our dependency on our oppressor. And if you're familiar with the history of America as it pertains to the African Americans, even, pretty much from their lens and their perspective, looking at us, and then also understanding the opposite side of the spectrum, which is our perspective looking at them, you see that they've always been able to thrive and survive off of, establishing their dominance and their superiority over us, and then us always being in a position to look up to them and to look for them and look to them for anything that we would need, which again is as a result of the curses as well. So the more we keep feeling like, make sure there's not no glare on it. The more we keep feeling like, or waiting for them to make good on these promises that they've made to us, we'll always be under the curses of the book of Deuteronomy 28th chapter, from the 15th verse on to the end, right? This is a pamphlet from the Reconstruction exhibit, the Reconstruction era. If you are familiar with it, it's a time period where so-called Negroes were let off of plantations and were allegedly freed under the Emancipation Proclamation, which again prohibited slave owners to continue to force Black people to work on plantations as, their servants, as their chattel slaves, right? So when you read the opening, overview of this particular exhibit, it says, making good the promises, Reconstruction and its legacies focus on the story of Reconstruction through an African American lens. Before we even move forward, the Reconstruction era and us being let off of plantations was a pivotal moment in African American history. It was an opportunity for us. Had we known, had we had some sort of understanding, had we had some sort of zeal, right, for the Most High in his true state, in his true nature, that could have been a golden opportunity for us to just get out of America, or even be able to build America up. which even as we see the events preceding that, or excuse me, the events succeeding that, right? Things like Tuskegee experiment, Black Wall Street, and all of the other people like the or groups like the Ku Klux Klan, all these different type of white supremacist groups, it would have made it difficult for us to build things up, which is what we were doing anyway. We were just still doing it in a whitewashed way, right? So looking at it through our lens, you got Deuteronomy 28. So I get Deuteronomy 28. What is that? 48 for one of all things. I need that. I also need Lamentations 3 and 29, I believe. And I also need Lamentations 4:17. You got that? Break it out.
Deuteronomy 28 and 48. It says, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee.
Real quick, we were going to serve our enemies, whom the Most High was going to send against us. Matter of fact, the brother is needs his lemon and his tea for the day.
Oh, they can't hear me?
I'm not sure if they can, but if they can't, I'm gonna put it up on the screen so that they can eat. Future Onomi. Future Onomi 28, and we're at verse 48. Let me share my screen, guys. Get everything right. Google Chrome would like to record this computer. Absolutely not. Google Chrome be on some madness, man. The mad team. I don't know what happened, bro, but out of nowhere, the signal just got bad. We've been good. What did happen? But look, start at Deuteronomy 28, verse 48. Bring it out.
It says, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things.
So it says, the Lord shall serve, therefore thou shalt serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, right? Which we understand is a so-called white man traveled over to the western shores of Africa, loaded us onto cargo ships, shipped us over across the Atlantic, brought us to what we now know as the Americas, and forced us to serve them up until the point that we're at now, right? Our servitude is not over. It says in hunger, right? So we have to depend upon them for food. In thirst, we have to depend upon them for water, and any type of beverage to quench our thirst. And in nakedness, right? Dealing with our clothing or anything that was going to keep us warm, and in want of all things. Again, just even recognizing during the time of the Reconstruction, or during the time where we were emancipated and let off of plantations, this was a golden opportunity for us to go and establish things for ourselves. But because we were under these curses, it was not possible. Okay, and it was so many other factors into it that, looking at it on a micro level, getting into the details as to what we did not do or the things that we didn't take advantage of, you clearly see right here that we were going to be upon, these curses were going to be upon us, right? After we're done with this, we're going to jump up to 44. I'm going to explain something to you guys, right? And in one of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck, which is what was going on, right? Prior to us being emancipated. And then there were laws put in place, right? The vagrancy laws, or what they would call the black codes, right? They would call the black codes, which are a whole bunch of different rules that they put in place to get us back legally now under the new law that they created, was a way to put us back into that position of being slaves again, right? Which is where you get things like the 13th Amendment, where slavery is abolished unless it's punishable, or as if it's as a result of a punishment for a crime. So they had different laws, like if we didn't have jobs, right? If we didn't have a way of, So if we didn't have jobs and we'd have to solicit, we'd have to beg, you get locked up for that. Panhandling, right? If you didn't have a home, right, they have vagrancy laws. Um, all of these different things, right? Which is where you start this mindset. You start this mental development of us having to, become very, very animalistic in the way that we survived, right? Whether it was turning to stealing from our oppressor or it was turning to stealing from one of our own. We began to be very selfish. We began to be very self-centered. And this is that by any means necessary type of mindset that came into play, which by the time 100 years later, or almost 100 years later, when our brother Malcolm used the phrase, it was nothing for us to pick up on that because that's how we were living anyway, you know, by any means necessary. And when our beloved brother Malcolm used that statement or used that quote, I guess it was in a way for us to channel it in the right direction, right? To not necessarily use it on ourselves, but to use it in our fight for things like equality, things like, a positive representation of Black men, women, and family in the public, things like, um, you know, not selling drugs to one another, because around that time was when we started getting into this gangster mentality, right? With the Bumpy Johnsons of the world, right? The underbelly of the Black society, where we are taking advantage of our own community, following after Italian and which are white, quote unquote, gangsters, and we wanted to live that life, as a by any means necessary way for us to crawl out of poverty and having to completely depend on our oppressors in the welfare system. Not even saying that they even had one, a serious one at that time. But again, we were still in oppression. We wanted a better life for ourselves, right? We wanted to stop being looked at as second class citizens. And if at anything, that we were still going to be looked at as second class citizens, at least we would be looked at as and highly regarded in our community. And that's what we've still are perpetuating to this day, right? It says he put a yoke of iron upon our neck until he have destroyed us. And by that time we were let off of the plantations, man, we were completely destroyed. Why? Because at any other time, we would have been seeking our land back. We would have been seeking what was ours and what pertained to us. But by the time they had done such a number on us, that by the time they let us off plantations, we were still sitting there in an infantile mindset, looking to our fathers and our mothers, which at the time was our oppressors, to just completely take care of us, right? Jump up to verse 43.
43, it says, the stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high.
The stranger that is within us shall get up above thee very high. There was a point in time where when we had our own land, there was people flocking unto us, right? And drawing inspiration from us and wisdom from us. By the time we're talking about now, the Reconstruction era, they had got up above us very high. And again, we were very low. We were so low that we weren't even able to muster up enough strength and enough courage to do for ourselves. Coincidentally, just even understanding how very low we were and how even them letting us off of plantations was a deceitful number. It was a deceitful act because for about 100 years leading up to that point of emancipation, there were revolts that were taking place, right? From about the mid to late 1700s, all the way leading up to 1863 or 1863, where the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. 1834 is a popular revolt that we always talk about and we always mention, which was the Nat Turner Revolt. We're talking about less than 30 years prior to us being let off of plantations is a famous revolt amongst the Black slaves, right? Amongst the African American community. That was something that was already happening. Something that the northern states were afraid of. That they were growing worried that this was going to pick up. Not to mention, about 60 years prior, our fellow brothers in the land of Haiti, right, on the island of Hispaniola, had already established their, revolt, completely taken over, right? And through the spirit, we're talking about this the day after um, the Haitian Independence Day, right? They had established their independence about 60 years before we were let off of plantations, and they had been traveling over here, getting into conflict, establishing themselves as that courageous influence, right? In order to assist with our liberation as they have found theirs.
Even established inhabitants in Chicago.
Absolutely.
We found Chicago.
Huh?
I got precept. This is Baruch, chapter 2. From the top it says, therefore the Lord hath made good his word, which he pronounced against us and against our judges that judge Israel, and against our kings, and against our princes, and against the men of Israel and Judah, to bring upon us great plagues, such as never happened under the whole heaven, as it came to pass in Jerusalem, according to the things that were written in the law of Moses. Right? I'm going to jump to verse 4. It says, moreover, he hath delivered them to be in subjection to all the kingdoms that are round about us, to be as a reproach and desolation among all the people round about, where the Most High had scattered them. It says, thus we were casted down and not exalted, because we have sinned against the Lord our God and have not been obedient unto his voice.
Go ahead and explain it, because I ain't gonna lie, I was
So,
texting.
of course, as we can tell, when you further read in Baruch 2, it basically goes into the same curses that's in Deuteronomy 28, right? And it basically giving a little bit more further explanation dealing with Baruch being the scribe of Jeremiah during that time when he said that you shall discontinue from your heritage.
That's right.
And serve the enemies in the land that your fathers didn't know.
That's right.
Right? And in here, this is where we're going to trusting into man, trusting into the Haitians making us free, right? Mm-hmm. Trusting in Nat Turner to freeing us, when all our trust should be going to the Most High.
That's right.
Right? To where our heart is deceitful above all things, to where we thought when we built up the community in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Greenwood, right? Everything was flourishing, yet the Most High, he didn't even exalt us. He brought us down.
He brought us down
because we were still in sin. Mm-hmm. Brothers were shaving, right? Brothers wasn't teaching the laws, statutes, and commandments. Brothers was eating pork, and all these things happened to, well, like you said earlier, we start taking on the customs and learning the ways and depending on the heathen.
And that's really where it comes down to. Like a lot of the positions that us as Black people take, even Hispanic and even Native Indians, right? The positions that we take and the outlooks that we have in life is dependent upon the social structure in the society that we live in. If we didn't have the setup the way that we do, we wouldn't be able to stand on these political, economic, and social perspectives. We wouldn't have them. They wouldn't make sense. This is why a lot of times it seems like the Hebrew Israelite community is fighting against our women, because our women take the position of standing on the premise and the layout of America, and we're taking the establishment and the layout of the Bible, and those things just do not mix, right? Do me a favor, when you go back to Deuteronomy 28 and jump up to 41. Jump to 41, then we're going to read down.
Deuteronomy 28:41, it says, thou shalt beget sons and daughters.
Thou shalt beget sons and daughters. Go ahead.
But thou shalt not enjoy them.
But we won't be able to enjoy them. One of the first things that our people did upon being released from plantations is that we went immediately. Excuse me. Got a lot of indigestion. I don't know what's going on. One thing we did was we went immediately to the newspapers, and we started taking news ads out stating our name, what plantation we were from, or that we just got let off of, and the plantation that we came from, as much history back as we had, to try and reconcile with our family members, our kids, right? Because we had children, but we weren't able to enjoy them because they were taken from us. They were taken from us sold and sent to another plantation, married off here, and we were all separated. So when we read here in Deuteronomy 28 and 41 that we were going to begat sons and daughters, but we shall not enjoy them for, finish it out.
It says, so like, for they shall go into captivity.
They went into captivity. A newborn or a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old child was taken and sold into another plantation to a slave master for them to go into immediate servitude and bondage. These are things that we were facing. And I was thinking that they had, something in this pamphlet. I know in the at the museum itself, they have a portion where it speaks about that. We had to go find our family members by reading, the newspaper. And how long would it take for you to go down to this newspaper company, write out whatever it is that you need? Here's the thing, hard for you to write it out because you wasn't supposed to be able to read or write anyway. It would be hard for you to even say that. You're banking on whoever it is you're relaying the message to for them to get it right, and then for your family member to receive it and then meet you in the place where you're supposed to be going, which is, again, difficult because there's these laws in place that kind of prevent you from doing that. Some success stories, we can only imagine how many that weren't. Keep reading.
Verse 42, it says, all thy trees and fruit of thy land shall the locust consume.
And when it's talking, because in verse 38, right, it says that thou shalt carry much seed out into the field, and thou shalt gather in but little, for the locust shall consume them. The locust is dealing with the pest, the people that's going to come and consume all the things that was supposed to be a part of your increase, right? So that goes into our oppressor just coming in and taking over all of our riches, but then also speaks to the conditions that we were facing and that we were under, being under our oppressor. We would do so much work, and then we would receive such little for the work that we put in, right? We'd be in the field gathering up almost 75 pounds of cotton per day. I ain't even gonna say per day because, yeah, it's Haggai 1:6, but we don't necessarily need Haggai 1:6, right? Because we always go to it. The curses itself is just telling us you'd have to fill up a 75-pound bag of cotton. Probably have to do 2 bundles of those, right? Or 1.5, which is about 125 pounds, 150 pounds a day. And if you didn't produce enough, you were persecuted for that, right? You were punished for those things. On top of it, what would you get for picking all of this cotton? You'd get a handful of meal. I can't you say it was corn? We don't know what type of meal it was, but you just get a handful of whatever. And this is the type of treatment that we were in. So when it's talking about the locust is going to consume it, it's just the people that was going to come and devour everything that you worked for, everything that you put time and effort and love into. The locusts will come and consume it, and you wouldn't really have anything to show for the work that you put in, right? Go back down to 43 again.
28:43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low.
Where we were supposed to be on a pedestal and everybody else was supposed to be under us, these things have now switched. They got up above us very high, so high that we looked at them like they were God. We were brought so low and they were put up so high that we thought that they were God. Not only just the face of God, but that they were going to be the saviors. They were going to be the ones to save us. You got that, Lamentation? Let me get it on the screen. Lamentations 4:17. Read it. Go ahead.
Lamentations 4:17. As for us, our eyes as yet fail for our own vain help.
Read it one more time.
As for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help.
Our eyes have yet failed for our vain help. And this is exactly what was going on. So just a quick little history, right? There was a conflict between the northern states, right, and the southern states. The southern states was against letting these black niggers off the plantation. How dare you guys? Don't you dare do stuff like that, right? This is how they were really flourishing. The northern states, they were trying to push, not necessarily push, but that was a small part of their agenda, letting these slaves off the plantation. When they did, the southern states were kind of affected because they were operating and being able to maneuver and thrive off of the idea of whites being superior to blacks, right? So what ended up happening is they then formed these, Confederate organizations, right? These racist, terrorist organizations. One, the most popular is the Ku Klux Klan. The Ku Klux Klan is as a result of the Negroes being let off of plantations, where they begin to terrorize these newly freed slaves, quote unquote freed slaves, and they started to terrorize them as well as the organizations that they were building up as a means to just kind of have their own and be able to just figure out how they were going to survive and operate under this American society that they have just been kind of catapulted into. You feel me? Like I said, we could not just sit around and just say, shit, man, we've been working for the last 250 years. I'm finna chill. Couldn't do that. We had to figure out something to do. There was even situations where we used to have to sit up in the balconies of the churches, right? If we was even let in. But once we were then, as long as we were slaves on plantations, okay, y'all can sit up in the balcony. But now that we're supposed to look at you guys as some sort of equal, we're supposed to look at you guys as not as slaves anymore. Nope, we are not holding church with you anymore. So there was a situation where it was an Episcopal church. All the whites left the church. They just said, because now you guys can walk in and you can tip your hat and say something to me now. Now I don't have to leave church and look and watch out at you guys working on the plantation anymore. This is a problem. I don't even want to be around you guys, right? So the blacks came down out off the balconies and filled the church up, and it became a prominent black church. Several years later, the whites came back and said, "Nah, this is actually our church, so y'all gotta get out and do something because this is ours." So they came, took the church back, and there was a lot of stuff like that happening. So what it ended up doing is it forced us to go and establish our own. And the church was the cornerstone of the black community at the time. Not only did we use the church for our spiritual practices, but we then utilized them for the way that we educated ourselves. Again, I want to force and I want to focus and harp on this was the perfect opportunity for us to go do not only for ourselves like we did, but do for ourselves, but then do it in a way in which was from us. All we did was we took the white indoctrination and we just put a black face on it, right? So yeah, this was all a black church, but we teaching the same thing we was learning on the plantation, right? Yeah, this is a black school, but only thing we teaching is a white history or white information, right? Still exalting them. That's how low we were. And we had to understand that. So when it said, so what ended up happening is the southern states, the Confederate states, they started to persecute, burning down churches, burning down businesses, burning down schools. And what happened was now the North, who was still just as racist, but a little bit more covert. They weren't as in your face and blatant like, hey, fuck you, nigger. Nah, they were like, hey, fellow colored man. You know what I'm saying? No, wait, no. I don't want you in my establishment, but you can go on your side of town and build up y'all stuff. Cool. They'd already let us off plantations, so they really looking good in our eyes. And with them letting us off of plantations, it had took us out of the mindset that we were already in for the last 100 years, which was these revolts, standing up and being courageous. Get that in Joshua 1. Get in Joshua 1. And it's so funny because we utilize, again, this is just 30 years beforehand. We recognize what Nat Turner used, right, to build up this courage to create and to establish these revolts. Once they let us off plantations, it was almost like it was just a reset that they needed. Yeah. But he say, maybe I should say maybe I tell her what a famous rapper I am. Yeah, that'll get her on my side. Maybe we should let them off of plantations. Yeah, that'll make them not mad at us anymore. I'm talking about it was the perfect thing that they could have done. It works for a lot of you niggas. Also, give me Ecclesiastes 7:7. Get that for me. You got that? Joshua? You got Joshua? Bring it out. 1 and 8. 1 and 7.
In the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 7. Only be thou strong and very courageous.
Only be strong and courageous. As the children of God, as at that time we were on our way to go and take over the land of Canaan, only be strong and only be courageous. Go ahead.
That thou mayest observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded thee.
And this is the courage that our beloved brother Nat Turner had picked up on from starting to observe the law, statutes, and commandments, by starting to observe the law and the testimony. Right? Go ahead.
Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left.
It says, don't turn from these things from the right hand or to the left. Go ahead.
That thou mayest prosper whithersoever thou goest.
And that would have literally been the catalyst to our prosperity. We had already been serving for hundreds of years. Man, it's been tough, but we off these plantations now. And guess what? It was almost as if the American society didn't really know what to do either. They just knew what was needed to get their political agenda done. Their political agenda had not yet included what was going to be done to us. This all was kind of figured out in the succeeding years right afterwards. Again, the southern states completely against it. Absolutely not. So you know they didn't consider what to do with us, because the only thing that was on their mind was keeping us on plantations. But the northerners didn't really know what to do with it. Didn't know what to do with it either. They figured it out later on down the line when we, the black people, were trying to run from the southern states and go to the northern states to get equal protection under the law. Because even though the southern states were persecuting and messing with us, we couldn't defend ourselves. If we then rose up a hand up against this white man to defend ourselves, we would be back on plantations with yokes of iron upon our hands and our neck, swinging a goddamn pickaxe, building you a hole. Right? So it says, only be thou courageous, giving ear unto the law, statutes, and commandments, and that's when you will find your prosperity. If we had that, and I'm emphasizing, I'm staying on this point because you kind of see we have the same liberties now, right? Which they say liberty is the ability to do what you want to do because of an outside influence. Actual freedom is the ability to do what you want without outside influence. Our freedom is going to come through our autonomy. Our autonomy dealing with self-government comes from us following our own law, statutes, and commandments. From that, we get courage, right? We get bravery. And from that, we fight against those who oppose what works for us, which is our law. That was supposed to make us great, wise, and understanding in the sight of everybody else. We don't do that. So when we have these liberties now, the same way we did being fresh off of the plantation, we got to take advantage of that. And this is how we build ourselves back up. Con? Keep reading. Verse 8.
This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth.
And it's the book of the law that we need. It shall not depart out of thy mouth. Not saying that we shouldn't speak these things, but it should not leave from our speech. It should not leave off from the things that we talk about. Again, our law tells us we speak about it when we wake up. We speak about it when we're sitting around. We speak about it when we're walking around in the streets. And we speak about it when we lay down and go to sleep at night. It should never depart from our conversation. Go ahead.
But thou shalt meditate therein day and night.
And it should have been a meditation of what we were going through day and night. You know why? Because we should have learned that when we are on the bottom of a damn slave ship or on a cargo ship, right? Ain't no such thing as slave ship. When we were at the bottom of these cargo ships and we get off, we should have recognized immediately, man, we know why we're here. Which a lot of us did, but we were supposed to preserve that, right? Train up the child in the way he should go. When he's older, he's not going to depart from it. We were supposed to keep these things alive throughout whatever captivity we were in. Which when you look at there's two types of captivities, man, that are very unique to the other captivities we went into, but similar to themselves. And that was the Greco-Roman captivity and the American captivity, where we were literally losing who we were. They attempted it during the time of the Greeks. accomplished it with a lot of them, but not all of us as a whole. And then by the time we got over here, I'm talking about they were able to completely wipe us away from our identity, right? Which stay tuned to the channel, man, because we have some good stuff going on. We're gonna go into the 7 basic needs, the 7 fundamental needs of a human being, which identity is one of them. You take that away, you're exposing them. You're leaving them very, very weak. And when you're weak, you then become susceptible to all kinds of madness and destruction, which madness in itself is one of the curses, right? Finish that out in verse 8.
That thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein.
That we got to observe to do all according to all that is written therein. Read.
For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous.
For then your way will be prosperous. We would have had so many Black Wall Streets. It wouldn't have been just Black Wall Street singular, and we would have had multiple. It would have been a plural thing, right? Go ahead.
And then thou shalt have good success.
And then we would have had good success. We wouldn't sit up here and have this roller coaster ride where we have time periods where we're doing good, and then we have time periods where we're doing just extremely bad, right? And this is why you have certain sayings amongst certain conversations where it says, you know, hey, there's a glass ceiling. There's only so far up we can go. You know, this is why we feel like that, because we recognize that every time we kind of build some momentum to get back up into the to the peak. I think it's called the trough, right? The curve on the top, right? It's called the trough, right? And then the bottom one is called the it's called like the node or something like that. Don't worry about it. I'm trying to remember something from 15 years ago. Okay, but I thought that it stuck. See, we gotta ask the human encyclopedia, the Israelite encyclopedia right here. Saying all that to say, we recognize that we always have these ups and downs, and in order for us to surpass a certain level, then you start to have to balance out your success and your prosperity with your morals and integrity. And they say, in order for you to pass that peak that we've always kind of been able to reach but never get past, is where we then have to lower our integrity and our morals. And that's when you see where we're at now. Our people are financially shooting up, right? In terms of success, not so much, because we don't have anything to stand on, which is, again, another key component to the fundamental principles and necessities of just us as human beings. That was it on that? Get that in Lamentations 4:17 again.
Back in the book of Lamentations, chapter 4, verse 17. As for us, our eyes are yet filled for our main help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us.
And like I said, instead of us leaning on the laws of God and going and establishing our own, we looked for a nation that could not save us, right? Which was the northern northern states. And it was like we was going to tell, hey, these guys, these southern states are messing with us. Can we get equal protection under the law? So you know what that forced us to do? Instead of us focusing on trying to establish our own, we then, a lot of us, especially the men, were forced to go and do what? To go and try and infiltrate the political congregation of these northern states that had the influence. We had to go, now we got to go learn their law. Now we got to go learn their ways. Now we got to go around the neighborhood and the community talking about, hey, vote for us, do this, do that. You know what that does to our perspective? You know what that does to our focus and our drive? It puts it in a place that we do not need to be in. Bring it out.
This is Luke 3 and 10.
I'm going to tell you this. Baruch is going to really thrive with this one. Go ahead.
Luke 3 and 10. How happeneth it, Israel, that thou art in thine enemy's land, that thou art waxing old in a strange country, that thou art defiled with the dead?
That thou art waxing old in a strange country, defiled with the dead. That's what I thought about company, right? Defiled with the dead. You are the company that you keep. So when we had such a focus and a desire to keep company with devils, we became devils. This is why, and it really wasn't anything new, because Yahweh told us that already. You are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father you'll do. A liar from the beginning and a murderer. That's all we've been to each other. That's all we've been to the Most High. Keep reading.
Verse 11 says, that thou art counted with them that go down into the grave.
You are counted with them that go down into the grave. And that's where we've been. The grave is a low place. The grave is a place in which we can dig something up and put people there, but not many people just go and hang out. No, because it's beneath you. The grave will always be beneath you. But now we are counted as the people that go to the grave. And guess what? We're the number one demographic and demographic of people that goes into the grave. Everywhere. We are just dying every single day in record numbers. Read. That was it on that? Go to what was that that Don Yali used to always bring out? 3 and 29? Like 3 and 40. Lamentation 3 and 40.
Lamentations chapter 3 and verse 40. Let us search and try our ways.
By the time they let us off plantations, we should have been in the mindset to say, let us search and try our own way. Go ahead.
And turn again to the Lord.
And then turn again to the Most High. Because at that time we had not. At that time we had already made chitlins a delicacy. Chitlins had already been incorporated into our, community as, hey, Bernadette, Bernice, Claudine make a good chitlin. You know what I'm saying? Clarice, okay, Mama, Mammy make a good gumbo, right? All of these things had already been a part of our culture at the time. And instead of us now having the ability to go and slaughter a bullock, right? We still chasing after the hog. We didn't want to try our own ways. Keep reading.
It says, let us lift up our heart with our hands.
Let us lift up our hearts or our minds with our hands. Where? Lift them up to the Most High. Because we're in a real low place. But think about the stratification of it. We're here, Esau's here, and the Most High is above him. Meaning from our perspective and our lens, we got to look past Esau to the Most High. We could never look past him. Why? Because we had to figure Esau was still in our face. You got one people trying to kill us, another people trying to make it seem like they are down for us and that they're, on our side and on our team. I don't know, he let you off of plantations, and now you're going to come back knocking on the door. I hate to ask for another favor, but these guys over here, they're messing with us. Now, I could have killed him last night. Me and John Boy could have killed him. Me and John Boy could have killed him last night, but I know that y'all was going to seek them hounds on me. This is where police officers start coming into play. Evolving from the slave catcher to now this patrol to catch the loiterers, catch the solicitors, right? And catch the thieves, right? That was it on that? Keep going.
It says, let's start back from the top. It says, let us search and try our ways and turn again into the Lord. Let us lift up our heart with our hands unto God into the heavens. We have transgressed and have rebelled.
Mm-hmm.
Thou hast not pardoned.
We have transgressed, we have rebelled, and thou hast not pardoned. Funny thing is, man, when you start reading the memoirs of a man, like Nat Turner, he speaks a lot about, or I'm gonna say he speaks directly to it, but the things he says shows that he was moving in that direction to coming back to the identity of us being Israelites, right? Recognizing the position that we were in and the position that our oppressor was in, and how God is always going to the poor, brokenhearted, blind prisoner, giving them sight, giving them shelter, and giving them deliverance. That all of those things pertain to us, right? So if the gospel, this is what's so crazy about the Christian gospel. It should be able to survive any era. The gospel should be able to survive at any era. During the time of, the Jim Crow South, and even before then, chattel slavery, when we was on plantations, how could Christianity pertain to them? But then they let us off plantations. It's like, oh, that's their repentance? Come on, man. No. A lot of them lived and died and thrived off of the blood, sweat, tears, and the disrespect and the degradation of Black people. How can we sit up and turn around and love them? Same thing with the Romans, same thing with the Greeks, same thing with the Egyptians, same thing with the Persians, same thing with the Assyrians, same thing with the Babylonians, twice. Okay. This is the type of stuff we got to that we have to recognize. But guess what? One thing that was consistent out of all those time periods is the gospel and the good news for the oppressed, because it's been the same people being oppressed for all of those times. This is what is consistent throughout history. This is why Jesus Christ has the ability to be the same today, same yesterday, same forever. He has the ability to do that because he's always talking to the same people, the people that have been oppressed, the people that would just refuse to turn to God. What I have you holding? What's the other one? That's something else? Okay. Keep reading.
It says, verse 43, thou hast covered with anger and persecuted us.
The Lord is angry with us. He's still angry with us. He's been persecuting us. We have to turn that anger off. We have the tools in the book that they've been using and that we've had possession of for a very long time to turn the anger of God off, yet we won't do it. We are going further and further into a destitute and despicable way. Go ahead.
Thou hast slain, thou hast not pitied.
We've been slain and there's no pity. This is why we need a man like who the world called Jesus Christ, real name Yahushua. Because once he comes and he is that sacrifice, that then guess what? He now softens the heart of the Most High now towards us. He gives us that grace and that mercy back from the Most High. Whereas before, he's just been furiously angry with us for a long time. Read.
God, it says, thou hast covered thyself with a cloud that our prayers should not pass through.
Covered ourselves with a cloud that our prayers should not pass through. I mean, metaphorically speaking, in the times that we've been living in here in Americas, we can say that cloud has been the so-called white man. Our prayers have never been able to make it through or past him because we've only been sending our prayers to him, looking for him to save us, and he could not save us. Wild stuff, right? Let me finish reading this intro, right? Make good the promises, Reconstruction, and its legacies focus on the story of Reconstruction through the African-American lens. Reconstruction, the period following the Civil War, was a revolutionary political, social, and economic movement that reshaped the nation in profound and lasting ways. It manifested the aspirations and the determinations of African Americans, including 4 million newly freed people seeking to define themselves as free and equal citizens. And that's another thing. Newly freed slaves seeking to define themselves. One thing we were not defining ourselves as was the children of God. Get Deuteronomy 7:6. Right? You got something, Josh? Yeah, there's nothing already. This all good. So let me know when you got something.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7.
Hold on. You always call me during my live. I'm on live. Hit you when I'm done. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6.
Deuteronomy 7:6. Go ahead.
For thou art an holy people.
For thou art an holy people.
Unto the Lord thy God.
Go ahead.
The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
That's the way we should have been defining ourselves. That's the way we should have been defining ourselves. Did we define ourselves as that? Nah. We at that point was earnestly trying to define ourselves as Americans. Trying to define ourselves as equal citizens. I don't want to be an equal citizen. I want to be a superior citizen, right? I want to be the one sitting on the seat. Ecclesiastes 12:7. Who still got Ecclesiastes 7:7? Bring it out.
Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 7. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad.
That's the answer right there for the revolts. Surely oppression makes a wise man mad. Again, the most popular, we're going to keep talking about it, Nat Turner. He became a wise man. Why? Because they messed around that white woman, put that Bible in his hand. Gave him the ability to read, write, and arithmetic. You know what I'm saying? Or arithmetize. She gave him the ability to do that. He took the records that was written and designated for us. And then in his wisdom, he said, man, this oppression we've been going through is ridiculous. Then they're trying to monitor the way that I administer the word of God. I thought to myself, I said, I'll find it. I write stuff like this down where it's like, what was the need to manipulate these scriptures, right? Probably talking trash in my notes. Oh, that's it's a way to expose Christianity, right? Pretty much what I said. What would have been wrong with black slaves teaching other slaves Christianity? To love everyone and to forgive everyone. What would have been wrong for that? That would have worked perfectly with what they were doing. Even though I'm wrong, even though I'm so rigorous, even though I'm so mean and disgusting with the way I'm treating you, love me and forgive me. That's Christianity. What would have been wrong with that? Why did they have to monitor the way we were teaching other slaves? Because clearly there's so much more to this Bible. Clearly there's something so drastically, the truth of this Bible is so drastically different than the Christianity we received on plantations that we still have yet to fully get away from. It's so hard for us to get away from it. We still want to love the people that oppress us, but the scripture just says, surely oppression makes a wise man mad. So why aren't we mad about it? Because we're not operating in our wisdom. Our wisdom is the law, statutes, and commandments. Again, it makes us mad, it gives us courage, and it leads to our success and prosperity. Finish it out in Ecclesiastes.
Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad,
Uh-huh.
and the gift destroys the heart.
And you know what the gift that destroyed our heart was? Letting us off that plantation. Even in the movie Birth of a Nation, right? The Nat Turner story, when they started their revolt, you remember that scene where they was on their way to the next plantation, and it was it was at the break of dawn, like right? It was the sun was coming up, and they stopped and they looked off over into the horizon. He was like, "Hey, John Boy," I don't remember his name. He said, "Hey, John Boy, what time you think it is?" And he looked out and he said, "About 5:30." He said, "What would you have been doing right now?" He's like, "Shoot, I'll probably be halfway through my bag right now." He said, "I know." Like, it was already astonishing as they know that they were approaching danger. That was already something big for us. Just not having to get up before the sun come up and be out there halfway through the field. By the time the sun broke over the horizon, that was a big thing for us. And they knew that they was probably about to go get killed, but they was willing and they was ready. Imagine letting them off a plantation and there was no danger in front of them. At least they didn't think, right? That's the gift that immediately destroyed our hearts. Because like I said, we was already in a mindset to rebel and revolt. This is what influenced the North to consider letting us off. If we gonna blow up and be a big nation, we can't have our people, or we can't, I ain't gonna say our people, we can't have these niggers, we can't have these people as a worry in our mind. Then when we look at things like the Willie Lynch letter, right, and the concept behind it and how they had indoctrinated and conditioned us mentally, why couldn't they let us off? They had already fulfilled their work. They already done a number on us. Letting us off, it showed that. Bring it out.
This is Zechariah 1:15 in the NLT. It says, "But I'm very angry with the other nations that are now enjoying peace and security."
I'm angry with the nations that have now what?
It says that are now enjoying peace.
I'm angry with these nations that are now enjoying peace. And what?
And security.
And security. They wouldn't even, the southern states were, because that's how they was really making their money. You know what I'm saying? They had really kind of bought into the mental idea of, shit, I like getting up, whipping me a nigger every now and then. I like getting up, being able to spit on them or being able to just take something from them and watch them just suffer. This is how sick and twisted they were. But for the most part, when we let off the plantations, guess what? We didn't even do nothing to them. We didn't do nothing to nobody. They were secure and letting us off. It's no problem. They didn't. The Southerners didn't look at us like, hey, I don't know if you should let them off because they're gonna get mad and they're gonna. They didn't care. They were prospering and they were secure. Go ahead.
It says, I was only a little angry with my people.
I was only a little angry with my people. Go ahead.
But the nations inflicted harm on them far beyond my intentions.
But guess what? They had done such a number on us, far beyond my intentions. It wasn't supposed to be like this. These people are now afflicting us beyond the point of us just getting that punishment. Now we have to work to get our identity back, just to then work more to get our blessings and promises back. Which is which falls directly or which falls perfectly into the aspect of what Christ came and established. We can't go and build some altar real quick. What are Levites? Come on, get it real quick. Let's just do the sacrifice on the Lord, and then we're just gonna get everything back. No. You got to work for it now. All the different layers you now have to work backwards to get back to where you were at. This fits perfectly in the ministry of Christ, perfectly into the purpose of Christ, because the Lord said he's not pleased with what these people did, so he's coming back to destroy them. But if any of us is caught up into it because we can't remove ourselves from their ways, you're gonna get caught up in it too. Give me that's it on that. Get Isaiah 13. You got something? Hold it. 13, just get the point. 14, 15.
This is Isaiah 13, 15. It says, everyone that is found shall be thrust through.
Everyone that is found shall be thrust through. Right? Matter of fact, start at
13. I'll shake the heavens and the earth shall remove our place.
11.
Isaiah 13:11. And I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity.
Listen, people are going to be punished for their evil. People are going to be punished for their iniquity. Go ahead.
And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease.
Anybody that's arrogant, anybody that's proud, all of those things are going to cease when the Lord brings his judgment back, right? He's going to humble the world. Go ahead.
And I will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible.
And he's going to bring the haughtiness of the terrible very low. Go ahead.
I will make a man more precious than fine gold.
I will make a man more precious than fine gold, which makes so much sense as to why 7 women is going to take hold of us. They're not going to want anything from us but to just be called after our name. Go ahead.
Even the man in the golden wedge of Ophir.
Then the man of the golden wedge of Ophir, right? Priceless, right? Valuable. Go ahead.
Therefore I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place.
Read.
In the wrath of the Most High of hosts, and in the day of his fierce anger.
The anger of the Lord is coming. Go ahead.
And it shall be as the chaste roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people, and flee everyone into his own land.
Here's the thing. This is what's so important. Anybody that believes in the Bible, when the scripture says every man turn to his own people and flee everyone into his own land, if you are a believer in the Bible, the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians have to get their identity back. That's the only way this can be fulfilled. Otherwise, who's going to be left? The white man can go flee into his own land, get his own people. The Arab man can flee into his own land, get his own people. The East Indian can do his. The Asian man can do his. The African man can do his. What the hell are we going to be left doing? You know what we're going to be? We're going to be the people left to be delivered. Because watch this. Read verse 15.
Verse 15. Everyone that is found shall be thrust through.
Everyone found is going to be thrust through. And what?
And everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword.
Who are the them that's going to be? Anybody that's going to be joined unto them. If we don't have nowhere to go, we don't have no people and no land, we got to do what? Join ourselves unto somebody else. Which is what we've been doing to survive. We've been joining ourselves unto other people. You got Hispanics and Native Indians walking through downtown San Diego, New Year's Eve, going into New Year's morning, with a damn bald head with this damn Shaka Atmos ponytail in the back of his head, shaking tambourines and beating on drums, as some damn monk. As some damn East Indian monk. You saw that? They was in the street chanting and trying to conjure up the Kundalini. It was ridiculous. What are you doing? Listen, that's some East Indian stuff. Then you got the brother Shaka Amos who done got the lock of Ra or whatever the damn thing is, right? Huh? Man, he got a bald head and got this big old patch of hair and he done put extensions in it and braided it down, right? To where it hangs off on some Prince Hakeem stuff, right? So that's us going after the Egyptians. Then you got these, these black kung fu masters, these black. I'm sitting there watching Blood and Bone, right? I'm sitting there watching Blood and Bone, and they sitting there quoting Genghis Khan, like literally living off of the principles and ways of Genghis Khan. Get the hell out of here! What the hell is? I am the punishment and the wrath of God. If you have not committed great transgressions, then you wouldn't have to worry about me, somebody like me, the punishment of God coming after you. Stop it, dude. Right? You trying to put yourself in a high position right now. Yeah. But the scripture that the brother just brought out in Zechariah the 1st chapter, it says what? That they've exceeded what was intended for them to do. Then you got everybody, all of these newfound revolutionary, enlightened, woke black people talking about, I'm a Moor. The Moors were established from the slaves from Morocco. All right, pertaining to the trans-Saharan slave trade, which was what? Us being taken into captivity by the Arabs. So you got us wanting to be Arabs, you got us wanting to be Asians, you got us wanting to be East Indians, and we want to be white folks, the Carltons of the world, right? The damn Candace Owens of the world. We want to be everybody, and we want to join ourselves into everybody except taking back and defining ourselves and taking back the identity that God has given us to be the greatest people on the planet Earth. Everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone joined unto them is going to fall by the sword. Go ahead. Read verse 16.
Verse 16, the children also shall be dashed to pieces.
The children are going to be killed. Go ahead.
Before their eyes, their houses shall be spoiled.
Houses are going to be robbed. Go ahead.
And their wives ravished.
Women are going to be taken, and men are going to have their way with them. It's going to be anarchy and chaos. And the only way we're going to survive these type of conditions is to lean on, love, and trust and serve and worship the Most High God, right? In the name of His only begotten Son, of Mashiach Yahushua. You got something?
Yeah, this is Hosea 5, start at 14.
Mm-hmm.
It says, for I will be unto Ephraim as a lion.
I will be unto Ephraim as a lion. Go ahead.
And as a young lion to the house of Judah.
And a young lion to the house of Judah, the northern and southern kingdom. Go ahead.
Even I will tear and go away.
The Lord says He's going to tear and go away.
He will take away.
He's going to take away.
And none shall rescue you.
None is going to come and stop the Most High in His work and what He's doing.
And even Jake going into these other nations and seeking them for help.
Exactly.
It ain't going to work.
It ain't going to work.
They're not going to rescue you.
Because we've been looking for a nation that couldn't save us. We always just use that directly for the so-called white man, but it's a good point you just brought out that we go to all of these nations looking for something, right? Sewing fig leaves together to cover our shame and nakedness, because it's a shameful thing for you to walk around and not know who you are. It's shameful. I don't know anybody that's ever at camp, man. If you ever been to camp, watch a video where you ask somebody, hey, man, what's your nationality? And they say, I don't know, man, I'm adopted. It'd be like, damn, bro, my bad. You know what I'm saying? You can even see it on their face how it's like, it's a shameful thing. It's not something that you go around bragging about. There's no honor in it. They're troubled by it. They're bothered by it. Give me, who got that in 12 and 7, Ecclesiastes. You have more?
Yeah.
Finish it up.
Verse 15, it says, I will go and return to my place till they acknowledge their offenses and seek my face. In their affliction, they will seek me early.
Read it again, Bakasha.
Hosea 5 and 15. I will go and return to my place.
I will go, return to my place.
Till they acknowledge their offense.
Until they acknowledge their offense. Y'all should be thanking Blacks, Hispanic, Native Indians that are going out to the highways and hedges, man, and putting time and effort into declaring His word and declaring His truth, and guess what? Confessing our offenses. Because if it wasn't for us, man, the Lord wouldn't even be looking to come get us. Because most of y'all out here would never. Y'all won't even acknowledge the Most High, let alone acknowledge your offense. You can't even sit up here and acknowledge your offenses in your little bullshit relationship that you be in with a woman. You can't even acknowledge your offense. It's the craziest thing in the world. Soon as you say something about this is the coldest thing in the world. Soon as somebody points out your wrong, you got to point out their wrong to try to trump it and say, you can't say anything about me because you remember you was smoking crack back in 87. Damn, my bad. I don't anymore. Right? That's gaslighting. That's a characteristic of a narcissist. Okay? That's a characteristic of a narcissist. It's called deflecting. Right? Or you turn around and say, no, I didn't. And when we out here in the street, man, we tell our people, oh, we was doing this, we was doing that. That wasn't me. It was you. And you're still doing it to this day. Stop playing these games. And this is the type of stuff that the way you see a relationship between a man and a woman operates, same thing of how our people treat the Most High. The Most High calls them out for the wickedness and things that they do. And then they turn around and start figuring out things to try and convict the Most High for. Where was you at when my granny died? Where was you at when my daddy got, when them niggas rode up and drive? Where was you at when Ricky got shot? God, huh? Type of stuff they be saying. They don't even realize moments before Ricky left the house to go get cornmeal and got shot, he was sitting there in his mind and say, yeah, I'm going to the military. He told Trey that. They was on their way to the store. He said, I'm going to the military. God took him out. How wild is that? How wild is that? Probably got killed out there. But how wild is that? And I don't think John Singleton did Boys in the Hood, right? I don't think John Singleton knew that, to put that in there as he got killed because his mindset was changed to go into the military. He didn't know that. That's what we call through the spirit, right? That when our mind and our focus is elsewhere, outside of turning back to the ways of the Most High, that's when the Lord just continues to destroy us. Right? Go ahead.
Especially when you offend them.
That's right.
So like
real quick, there was Israelites in LA in the 90s. There was Israelites in LA in the 90s preaching that truth. Was Ricky one of them that came across as it? Who knows? But we know there's plenty of stories of men like Ricky that probably just walked past these camps and were just talking all of this trash or just ignored them. Go ahead. That was it on your point?
It says, till they acknowledge their offenses and seek my face.
And seek my face.
In their affliction, they will seek me early.
In their affliction, as we're going through these things, we should seek them early. Doughboy should have turned around and sucked the Most High. Trey should have sucked the Most High. They mama should have sucked the Most High. What did they do? No. Doughboy got killed 2 weeks later. Trey went to damn, I think it was Morehouse, and his girl went to Spelman. Going further into the ways of Esau. Thinking they got something. You got that Ecclesiastes 12?
So Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 7. Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was.
No. 7 and 12.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no. What is it? I think it's like 12 and 12. The princes upon horses and
Oh, that's 10 and 7.
That's 10 and 7?
Yeah, it says 10 and 7, bro. It's Ecclesiastes 10 and 7. I've seen servants upon horses. Go ahead. And princes walking as servants upon the earth.
And princes walking as servants upon the earth. Right? Again, the stranger that is within us shall get up above thee very high, and we shall come down very low. They took our position on our high horse, and we were put in their position walking on the earth. And guess what? Even beneath that. Because like I said, a servant walking on the earth is still above somebody in the grave. The grave is beneath the earth. What was your precept in Proverbs?
This book, Proverbs chapter 1, verse 22, starting at verse 22. How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning.
The simple ones is the Israelites. How long will you Israelites love simplicity? Right? How long will you continue to just be simple? and to be elementary. At some point, we gotta wake up. Sometimes we gotta graduate. It's so funny, man. I just put on my Instagram, right? I said we live in a world that will use your yesterday's ignorance to discredit the knowledge that you found today. I said, if our teachers did the same thing to us, grading us on what we knew or what we didn't know yesterday, I said we would always fail. And that's that symbology right there that we have to graduate. We'll never graduate because we're so busy trying to hold ourselves accountable of what we did in the past instead of trying to grow from it. It's like, well, we've been here in America. We've been citizens. We've been fought and put so much effort into being equal citizens. Why not just stay now? Who gives a damn about all that yesterday stuff? We got the ways of God. We got the true understanding of the Bible. We need to look forward to that.
It's so crazy. Why do you want to be equal to a rape robber?
Why do you want to be equal to a raper, robber, and a murderer? This is your idol. This is who you look up to. This is who you're seeking to be after. It's wild stuff. We'll never graduate. We'll always fail. Because as soon as somebody get this truth, it's like, oh, bro, you was gangbanging with us, during this time. You was doing this with us at this time. Damn, bro. I didn't know any better back then. I didn't know that I was fighting the Brosstowns. I didn't know I was fighting the Crosstowns because my big homie couldn't handle his woman back in the 90s. And he got mad because she fagged off and went and dealt with some other dude. What's up?
I was going to say, that's the biggest form of idolization. It's not Stockholm Syndrome anymore. You want to be your oppressor.
You want to. It's not, because remember, Stockholm Syndrome is doing it as a means of survival. So it's a means to an end. It's a purpose as to why I'm doing this. No, you want to do this now. That's a great point, because I always said that about strippers and hoes. When I was about 17, 18 years old, all of the girls that I was cool with, that was a year, 2 years older than me, and we was cool, they graduated, I'm still in high school, and they're like, oh, well, I dance now. You do what? What do you mean you dance? Oh, you are a stripper? What are you talking about? I can't be friends with a stripper. I don't associate myself with strippers. Like, real life tried to put that pressure on them. Like, if you really care about us being friends, you're not finna be out here stripping. And a lot of them looked at me and was like, well, I guess we can't be friends. Like, I got to do what I got to do, which as I got older, I started to mature. I understood. Same example I gave on Friday. Somebody wants to rip this couch or this chair from up under me, but don't want to replace it with anything. So I'm sitting here taking your ability to make money and to sustain and survive yourself, but I'm not giving you anything else. Shit, I'm 16, 17 years old. I don't know how to sit up here and tell you how to go make some legal better money than you going and shaking your tail. My bad. But guess what? Got a little older, had way more opportunity and way more knowledge to showcase how to make money. And then I'm telling you those things and you don't want to do it. So it's not a thing of it being a means to an end now. It's almost like you like it. And guess what? Most of them women, if not all of them, I probably know 2. 2 out of 10. That was like, I'm talking about my homegirls. Like, we was close, we was cool. Still hoes to this day. Still hoes to this day. I'm 30. They 32, 33 years old. Still hoes. Still, but guess what? Now it's glorified now. At least for a little bit, you were part of your own little sect of society. Now it's glorified. Now you get to put on your Instagram page, hey, I'm in Atlanta tonight. Book me. Wait, what? Hey, I'm in you put it on your Snapchat, show a little nip slip. Hey, look, I'm in Detroit tonight. Book me. You can put it in your bio. Here's my OnlyFans. You can get on Instagram Live and put on a whole little striptease party. Wild stuff. You can pretty much gain followers by posting your naked stuff on the internet, and then ad companies will pay you to put the ads on there for people to come and look at your page. Or pay you to advertise them, right? Man, it's so many black people out here right now that are sponsored by Hennessy. Hennessy. Hennessy is now sponsoring niggas? That's crazy. When I seen that, I was like, what type of world are we living in, man? We should have knew it was bad when Nas became the spokesperson for Hennessy. Oh, we know we on our way to the depths of hell from there. Yeah, Nas was like one of the first artists, first black people really to be the sponsor of Hennessy. This was maybe like 10 years ago, bro. And now, you know who sponsors Remy? Usher. Usher got a whole Remy Martin commercial. Right? Hey, what do you say? Remy Martin. Hey, Remy Martin, right? That was funny. That was actually for the brother said, what does he do? Does he drink it? And he says, let it burn. That was actually funny. I like that one. I like that one, brother. That took skill right there. Okay, that was what you call a real intellectual, thought out joke. Okay, and niggas better not steal that either. Finish that in Proverbs.
Proverbs chapter 1 verse 22. How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity, and the scorners delight in their scorning?
And the scorners delight in their scorning. Because we're going to have people that's just going to be, disrespectful. We're going to have people that is going to hate. We're going to have people that's going to work really hard to discourage anybody from coming into the way of truth. We read about that in the scriptures, right? I'd rather deal with scoffers now than to deal with men seeking your life as the apostles and the disciples did, right? I could deal with a scoffer. I'm the biggest scoffer you've ever seen. I'm going to piss you off long before you piss me off, all right? Especially when I know that you're coming to me with BS. And when I know that your intention is to try and discredit what we're talking about and just to gainsay, you'll never make me mad, ever. But I know something about you. Okay? I know something about you that'll piss you off. You'll never piss me off. I stand too firm on the words of God. What am I mad at you for? I've received the knowledge that I have the tools. I have the knowledge to get me into the kingdom. You don't. Why am I mad at you for? I've obtained the riches of the world, the true jewels and riches of the world. Can't be mad at somebody who don't have that. I only pity you. I'm sad. I'm more saddened than upset, right? Or mad. Finish it.
And fools hate knowledge.
I don't hate knowledge. I'm not a fool in the eyes of the Most High. I'm not a scoffer or a scorner. I don't gainsay. I don't fight against the Most High. Can't be mad at you for that. I pity you for that. I hope that the Most High can put the spirit on you for you to then be able to receive the things that I'm talking about. Every day the Lord has given us revelation. We was on the phone the other day, bro. Last night we got a camera. It was like, we sitting there breaking things down, just kind of bouncing ideas off of what. Listen, it said, hey, I'm excited. I'm excited. This is exciting. I have fulfillment in life. You, on the other hand, insatiable. A scoffer is insatiable. He'll never be satisfied. He'll never find any type of fulfillment. Right? Get that? That was it? All right, let me go back into this overview. It says the Reconstruction era exposed deep divisions and clashing visions among the different groups of Americans about how to rebuild the nation after the end of slavery. Now, real quick, even when we go back, it says the Reconstruction era, right, the period following the Civil War, was a revolutionary political, social, and economic movement that reshaped the nation in profound and lasting ways. How did it reshape it? All it did was it incorporated us into, their economic, social, and political infrastructure, and caused us to look into their ways further. Like I said, we had the perfect opportunity, man. Hey, to skedaddle. We had the perfect opportunity to escape. They said, nah, man, we got to figure out a way to keep these Negroes here because they're going to be the ones we the ones making them rich. We the ones making them rich. Even though they charge us taxes, even though they, do little slick stuff to get money from us, they kept us wanting to be like them. They kept us wanting to be like them. So when they started giving us this equal protection, all we did, we took our money and said, cool. I want to go buy me a house next to Barbara Streisand. I want to go buy me a house next to Betty White. I want to go and shop on Rodeo Drive and see Madonna. That's what we was wanting to be like. They did a hell of a number, right? It says it exposed the deep divisions and clashing visions among different groups of Americans about how to rebuild the nation after the end of slavery. It also compelled Americans to reckon with fundamental questions such as, what is the meaning of freedom and equality? What does it mean to be an American? Who is entitled to the full rights of citizenship? This exhibition looks closely at the period in history and its connection to contemporary events and issues to explore how these themes still resonate today. Somebody said Madonna looked like a cigarette puff. You got some? Looking into this, man. Looking into this, it says, to explore these things that still resonate to us today, they still have not made good on the promise. We still are not equally protected under the law. There, again, we have a situation that just happened most recently with the dude, Kyle Rittenhouse. Underage kid, 17 years old, crossed state lines to go and help at a protest. You should have never been there in the first place. He had a modified assault rifle. Should have never had it. And then I guess there was just a situation that happened where people seen him with this, and for whatever reason, still have not figured out, at least I haven't, still haven't figured out why he was being attacked. He was able to claim self-defense in killing 2 people and wounding 4 with a gun he should have never had in a place he should have never been in. And he gets acquitted of all charges, both attempted murder, manslaughter, all of these different things. He walks away free. But we have a sister from the same state that he's from, the same city that he's from, black woman, who another black man was forcing her to sell her body and was constantly raping, beating, and mistreating her. She gets tired of it, pulls a gun out, and murders this man. She's looking at life in prison. We still have to wait for that trial to go through and see if she gets, the same exemptions, if she's able to claim the same level of self-defense than Kyle Rittenhouse had or did. Still got to see. But as history shows us, we know what's coming to that sister. If not life, she gonna get something. Listen, I'm gonna tell you this. Anything over time served is a problem. Right? Hell, the time she has served is a problem. The brother Jay Sneaks, he was being filmed the whole time. Kyle Rittenhouse, being filmed the whole time. But guess what? None of that means anything. You should have never been there, young man. It's called being at the wrong place at the wrong time. It's called mind your own business. It's called focus on your studies. If you to keep them heading in books and off that damn assault rifle, all right, and off this damn CNN, these people will still be alive.
It was all intentional too. His parents knew about it because he traveled there. He didn't live in there.
He don't even live in there. That's what I say. He crossed state lines traveling there. So your parents knew. That's neglect of a minor. You just sit up here and know your kid is traveling with this gun and all of this different type of stuff, and you just like, all right, son, you got everything? You got extra ammo, right? Okay. You got your 22 tucked in your ankle? Huh? You got your dagger, your knife, your machete, your hacksaw? What you got? Bring it out.
The book of Zechariah, chapter 11, verse 5. Whose possessors slay them.
Whose possessors, right? So-called white men, we are in his possession right now. That's just the fact of the matter. Who slay us, go ahead.
And hold themselves not guilty.
And they hold themselves not guilty. They keep acquitting themselves and keep convicting us, right? Then they'll convict us on charges that they have to figure out later on down the line how to make legal. So many black men that's doing life in prison right now over multiple marijuana offenses. And now a bunch of these white folks are making almost trillions of dollars a month. They're making this insurmountable amount of money a month over the very thing that you've been locking blacks, Hispanic, and Native Indians up for centuries now. That was it on it? No?
No.
Go ahead.
And they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich.
Blessed be the Lord, for I am rich. They definitely will try to thank this, demonistic God that they've been believing in and serving for their success. But they do these things, thinking that it's justified, thinking that it's a godly thing. Man, I just seen that. Somebody look that up in the book. It's in the book of Acts. It says these people will persecute you and think that they're doing the work of God. You know what it is? Watch this. Watch there. It's in the book of Acts somewhere, man. I just read this. Yeah, it's around like 10, 11, maybe even 12. I don't know. Hold up. You know what? It might not even be in Acts. It's John 16. John 16 and 2. Right? It says you got it? Bring it out.
John 16 and 2. They shall put you out of the synagogues.
It says they'll put you out of the synagogues. Go ahead.
Yea, the time cometh that whosoever killeth you.
Whosoever kills you, read.
Will think that he doeth God's service.
They think that they doing God's service. They are here killing us, putting us out of our own land, putting us out of our own temples and buildings, taking away our identity, killing us, and talking about think they doing the service of God. The Sam Shimons, the Vocab Malones, the David Lynns, the David Woods, the G-Cons, all they sit up here and they'll come and gainsay the truth of God and think that they're doing the service of God. But guess what? We ain't killed nobody. Esau been killing Israelites. They'll kill you for speaking the word of God. They'll lock you up for speaking the word of God. What have the Israelites done outside of intellectual slaughter? What have we done to people? Nothing. We've done nothing. So they can't try to say, well, they're talking about you guys. No, you the one have been putting us away from what we're supposed to be doing, thinking that you do God's service. You're disgusting. You got something, priest? You guys are disgusting, man. All right? Let's see what we can get into. Let's see something. says John Quincy Adams Ward. His intention was to express. It's pretty much it's a statue of a black man, sitting on this piece of wood, and if you can see, his wrist, right? There's chains, and it's supposed to him be kind of breaking out of these chains. It says his intentions was to express not one set free by any proclamation, so much as by his own love of freedom. And again, man, like they mock us, bro. They sit there and they mock us. A man's freedom and a man's liberty it's not going to be established by any man's proclamation, but by his own love for freedom. Get the hell out of here, dude. Okay? That's not what you guys were trying to do for us. That's not what you were doing. This is mockery when you say stuff like that. We shall be recognized as a man. We simply desire that we shall be recognized as men, that we have no obstructions placed in our way, that the same laws which govern white men should protect colored men, and that we should have the right of trial by a jury of our peers, that schools be open and established for our children, that we be permitted to acquire homelands for ourselves and children, and that we be dealt with as others in equity and justice. Go back to Deuteronomy 28. You don't have to get a priest. Get Deuteronomy 28. We were at 43.
Book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low.
Right? Can you read it?
He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him.
He became the lender, right? We got to go and get our money from him. We got to go and get our sustenance from him. Whereas before, we were the one that had the bread. We were the one that was, sit at the top of the hill. It is distributing the funds, right? We were the ones in charge of this distribution of the funds, the bag. Now we got to go to them. Keep reading.
He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail.
As he's the head and we're the tail, this is where we get where we say, can you just recognize me as a man? They treat they damn animals, man. They treat they damn beasts better than they treat us. Go ahead.
Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee.
Moreover, all these curses are going to come upon us and pursue us. Read.
And overtake thee.
And they shall overtake us. Go ahead.
Till thou be destroyed.
Until we be destroyed. Keep reading.
Because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee.
Go ahead.
And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever.
They were going to come upon us, and it was going to be upon us, right? Us and our seeds forever. Read.
Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. Hunger,
nakedness, thirst, want of all things. This is why we're sitting here begging these people. It says, we desire that we should be recognized as men. We should have no obstructions placed in our way. What were the obstructions that was placed in our way? Who got that in the Maccabees, man? Where it was against the law for us to call ourselves a Jew and keep law. Call ourselves Jews and keep the law, right? Our Sabbath days. It's why he's getting it. It's showing you the obstructions that was placed in our way. When you go to the museum, it's like an 8-foot screen, literally. And it's a brother dressed up. He looked like Frederick Douglass or something, right? And he's just saying, he says, listen, just leave us alone. If you see us walking to school, leave me alone. If you see me getting a drink of water, just leave me alone. If you see me on my way to work, leave me alone. If you see me sitting down at a restaurant to eat, just leave me alone. So it shows you, man, we had one, the perspective is that they're bothering us. You just won't leave me alone. You keep putting something in my way to stop me from getting where I want to be. The issue is that where we wanted to be was not with the Most High. What we wanted to be was next to our oppressor. This is a problem, right? But then on top of it, it shows that we had the right mindset. We were destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Give me Hosea 4:6. What you got? No, you don't need Maccabees. Bro got Maccabees. So you get Hosea 4. We didn't have no knowledge. Matter of fact, no. Well, get that, and then also you get Romans 10. Wait for him to get Hosea. Bring it up. Yes, 4 and 6.
The book of Hosea, chapter 4, verse 6. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee.
It says you rejected knowledge. We're destroyed for a lack of knowledge because we reject knowledge. Therefore, God is going to reject us. Read.
That thou shalt be no priest to me.
We ain't going to be the priest. Read.
Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God.
We forgot the law of our God. You know why? Because we wanted the law of the white man. That we have no obstructions placed in our way, that the same laws which govern white men shall direct colored men. We reject the laws of the Most High. We didn't follow or keep the laws of our fathers, of the Most High God. That's why the Lord rejected us and then he forgot us. Seeing thou hast forgotten what?
Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God.
We forgot the law of our God because we wanted to be under the same law of the white man. It's just direct from the book. It says it right in the book. Read.
I will also forget thy children.
Then the Lord says, I'm turning my face to y'all. What did he say? He says, I left them in the hands of the enemies. Because as soon as it's almost like it's like a little taste. Like, all right, y'all off the plantation. What y'all gonna do? Y'all gonna turn to me? Nope. Y'all ran right back to the man that y'all was just oppressed by. Don't worry about it. Like, fuck them damn kids. We got off the plantation like we was homeborn slaves.
We waxed old in the strange country.
We waxed old, man. That was it on that? That was 4 and 6. Get that 10 and 2 or 1 and 2.
So
Go
ahead.
But it's even the point, like we get up every day, man, and what's the first thing that you always say? You go do the same shit over and over and over again.
Yep.
This shit getting old.
It's getting old, bro.
It's getting old. But we choose not to change. As the scriptures say, they say to the seer, see not. I was trying to smooth things. Give us deceits.
Deceive us.
And
Like, listen, deceive me. This is why we like it unto women. That's what our women ask. At least give me something to go off of. Give me a lie. They say about like 9, 10, 11 years old. We say when the women grow up, they just want to get. This is when they first begin to want to be lied to. They want to be lied to. Why? Because they're telling the man, "Are you gonna be with me and only me and love me and worship the ground I walk on and kiss my feet and wash my feet and rub my toes and my bare dogs?" And you be like, "Yep,
You does.
Yep, I'm is gonna do those things, baby." Knowing damn well you ain't.
What Jerry says that I wouldn't do that to you. I love you.
I love you.
You
Stupid.
Yeah, stupid.
Good old Bernadette. And Harold Wayne done convinced Bernadette that he was gonna give her the world. And he ain't got the world. That's the craziest thing in the world, man. Not like, give me the world. Well, baby, I ain't got the world. Well, you better dedicate the rest of your life to getting the world to give it to me. Well, damn. Where's anything in it for me and the kids?
You give the world and they want the moon, sun, and stars.
See what I'm saying?
And the quasar.
Insatiable. That was it. Get Romans 10.
Romans chapter 10, right, in verse 2.
Good old Bernadette.
It says, "For I bear them record that they have a zeal of God,
Read.
but not according to the knowledge.
So we had a zeal when it says, yo, just like, don't put no obstructions in front of. Can you just leave us alone? We have a zeal. We want to do better. We want to do what's right. We just don't have no what? We have a zeal of God, but what?
But not according to knowledge.
We don't have no knowledge. We're destroyed for a lack of knowledge. And then we turn around and we reject knowledge. Because the earth and the ash is proud. Those that are just been completely and continuously burned up, cast down to the earth, we then become proud. Seeking every way except the way of God. Keep reading.
For they being ignorant of God's righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness.
Went about to establish their own righteousness. Go ahead.
Have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of God.
Have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of God. And that's what we've been doing. We've been stuck in a place where we think we are righteous, and we think we're doing the right thing, and we're just not. And we're going to keep making this mistake, and we're going to keep putting ourselves further and further into a deeper and deeper ditch. We're going to go further and further under the ground. We're going to become more and more low than the very low we've already been in. Shalom, Jeremiah. That was it on that? That was it on that. That's all I needed. It says that the same laws which govern white men should direct colored men. That we should that we have the right of trial by a jury of our peers. That schools be opened and established for our children. That we be permitted to acquire homesteads for ourselves and children. That we be dealt with as others in equity and justice. We're looking to them for one of all things. These damn wannabe Hebrews, Carlos, come on, man. I'm not understanding who you're talking to, man. I don't even understand how that even pertains to what we're talking about. Don't get blocked, okay? I ain't gonna lie, man. A lot of times I always tell people, like, just focus. Don't even focus on the comment board and trying to even talk to me while I'm speaking. Just listen, okay? Oh, he says, I said, who you talking about? He says, me. Thank you for watching me, Carlos. Okay? I've never watched you a day in my life. Okay? But you want to come stare at me and you mad at what I'm talking about. Go do better with your time, Carlos. Listen, don't click on the channel. Listen, it ain't even like you just cut your TV on and this is just what's the first thing that's popped on. You went and found me, sir. That's wow.
Fishes in the sea, man.
It's a lot of fishes in the sea, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's the craziest stuff in the world. Let me go find somebody to hate on real quick. You get that itch? It's like, ugh. It says, you hate, and I just watch to expose you wannabe Hebrews. Hey, good luck.
Good job.
Good job, Carlos.
You succeeded.
Hey, we're proud of you. Let's get Carlos a hand, man. Let's get Carlos a hand, man. You exposed us. Oh, man.
We're packing it up, man.
Carlos, you are a view. Thank you. You're a view and a comment. Hey, listen. I don't believe in luck. Listen, Carlos, you're doing more of a benefit for us than you are taking us away from these things. But guess what, Carlos? More than likely, through the Spirit, I could tell you're a Hebrew. Now, which one you are? That's yet to be determined. But you're definitely a Hebrew, okay? Because ain't no Hebrew. Don't nobody hate like them Hebrews hate. Your vessel of destruction. Oh my God, man. Carlos, don't go breaking my heart. Don't go breaking my heart. She said she loved me, she leave me, won't ever let me go. Carlos, if you're thinking about leaving, you need to let me know. Carlos, we're better together than further apart, brother. Don't go breaking my heart. God, I made a song about you. See, that's how much love I got for you, brother. The brother Antonio said, where's your broad at, Carlos?
Sunday evening.
Hey, get that Acts 23. It's like 23 and like 2. Carlos said that I was a Pharisee. Watch this. People always want to sit up and talk trash about the Pharisees. Watch this. Do something. Hold on. Hold on. Show you guys something, right? Don't go breaking my heart. Start at 7.
7.
Let's entertain the dickhead Carlos, right?
Yeah.
He called me a Pharisee. Wait. Oh, that's what happened. Wow. No, I didn't end it, but earlier it had asked me, it says Chrome wants to record your screen. I was like, nah, man, you ain't recording my screen. But that stopped me from being able to screen share. That stopped me from being able to screen share. So let me do something real quick. You know, it says something for the hose in the back. This is something for the car hose in the back. We gotta go to privacy, security and privacy. Privacy screen recording. Okay. 2 seconds, guys. I apologize for this. Privacy screen recording. Oh, snap. And then I have to close it out and reopen it and do it. So don't worry about it. Just read it. Start at verse 7.
7 or 6.
You can start at 6. That's fine.
Because Acts 23:6. But when Paul perceived that the one part were Sadducees.
It says when Paul perceived that the one part was Sadducees.
And the other Pharisees.
And the others Pharisees. So he recognized in his audience right now there were Sadducees and Pharisees. And what happened?
It says, it's like he cried out in the council, men and brethren, I'm a Pharisee. Paul cries out and says, I am a Pharisee. Go ahead. The son of a Pharisee.
And he's the son of a Pharisee. This is Paul. This is all of these Christians and these Bible believers love. They love Paul. He says he was a Pharisee and the son of a Pharisee. Go ahead.
It says, of the hope and resurrection of the dead, and I am called in question.
Of the hope and resurrection of the dead, I am called in question. Go ahead.
When he had said so, there arose a dissension between the Pharisees and the Sadducees.
And when he said these things, there was a dissension, right? There was a division between the Pharisees and the Sadducees. What happened?
And the multitude was divided.
They divided. Why?
For the Sadducees say that there is no resurrection.
Because the Sadducees say that there is no resurrection. Go ahead.
Neither angels,
nor angels,
nor spirit.
Nor is it a spirit. But what?
The Pharisees confess both.
But the Pharisees do what?
They confess both.
They confess the resurrection, they confess the angel, and they confess the spirit. Go ahead.
It says, and there arose a great cry.
And there arose a great cry. Read.
And the scribes that were of the Pharisees, the Pharisees part arose.
The scribes that were of the part of the Pharisees, they arose and did what?
And strove saying what? we find no evil in this man.
We don't find no evil in this Pharisee. Go ahead.
It says, but if a spirit or an angel had spoken to him.
But if a spirit or if an angel have spoken unto us, which the spirit that has been speaking unto us has been speaking to us, the man that you calling a Pharisee, through the word of God, which is spirit. But if a spirit or an angel have spoken to him, what?
Let us not fight against God.
Stop fighting against God, Carlos. Stop fighting against God, Carlos. You called me a Pharisee, but you're a weirdo, bro. You quote Paul when it's beneficial to your false doctrine. Sure. Listen, sure. Do you not like Paul? Just don't talk to me about Paul if you don't like Paul.
Us teaching the law is false doctrine.
And here's the thing. You want to quote Paul when it's beneficial for you. You called me a Pharisee, and all I did was quote where the Pharisees confess of the resurrection and of the spirit. Come on. I didn't even use that for a doctrinal purpose. All I quoted was what the history speaks of, that they confessed of these things. Now you mad.
Just go get your work clothes ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, man. Just go get your hard hat and your steel toes for tomorrow, man.
Everybody else.
Go get your steel toe toes and your hard hat. He says, you are a Pharisee. I agree with Paul's doctrine. Why are you calling me a Pharisee if you agree with Paul's doctrine? Paul, the man you say you agree with, was a Pharisee. How is this an insult? You understand what you're talking about, sir?
You try, Carlos.
Hey, you tried, Carlos. Go back to the drawing board, man.
Go home, write some shit,
Make it suspenseful.
Hey, buddy, you need to take the Bible home with you, man. All right.
Carlos, go learn English, man, before you start trying to talk to us about Hebrew, Greek, and Latin, man. All right? Let's see what else this book has to say. The United States emerged from the Civil War fundamentally changed. For the first time, slavery did not legally exist within its borders. What is meant was the question before the nation. Would 4 million newly freed people be truly free to determine their own lives? Would the nation's founding promises of liberty, equality, and justice be realized for all people, regardless of race? These were the questions of Reconstruction. They remain the challenges of today. The Reconstruction was so damn long ago. Give me Psalms 55. How are they remaining challenges of today? 170 years later. Yeah, we're going to read 20 and 21. Real quick. Do you agree with Paul's doctrine? I didn't know Paul had a doctrine. I thought Paul preached Christ. Hey, they done fucked up. You know you done fucked up, Carlos, right? They done fucked up, right? Don't worry about it, man. Carlos, man, you're reaching. Okay, you're not even staying fundamental to your stance, man. You're reaching on your punches. You're overextending. You're gonna leave yourself exposed. That's how you get knocked out. He says, don't run from Paul's doctrine, bro. Do you agree with Paul's doctrine? How about this? I'm not gonna answer because I don't have to. You came on my page. Maybe if I was looking for you like you was looking for me, maybe I'd have to answer that. Good thing I don't. I do what the hell I want to do on my page. That's the benefit of being sought after. See, when you're sought after, you got options. You got liberty to move how you want. See what I'm saying? See, when the girl wants you, Carlos, you get to control the situation, how it goes. But when you are chasing the girl like you do, Carlos, then you got to bend to her will. You feel me? I don't chase hoes, Carlo, like you do. I don't even chase my liquor. Yeah. Damn sure ain't gonna chase no hoe like a nigga named Carlos. Hell no. Bring it out.
Come, Psalm 55, verse 20. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him.
He put forth his hand against those that be at peace with him, right? Go ahead.
he hath broken his covenant.
He says, what this got to do with girls? It has everything to do with girls, Carlos. If only you knew, brother. That's the point. As soon as you realize that it has everything to do with girls, maybe you'll make a lot more money. I'm starting to really figure out what type of Hebrew you are, man. I'm really starting to see it, okay? He's one of those Idumean Hebrews. He's one of those Idumean Hebrews. Bring it out. Start from the top.
First, back from the top. He hath put forth his hand against such as be at peace with him.
He put forth his hand against those that be at peace with him, right? We were let off of plantations. We had no strife. We had no issue. They still figured out a way to put his hand against us. Go ahead.
He hath broken his covenant.
He hath broken his covenant. Go ahead.
The words of his mouth were smoother than butter.
The words of his mouth were smoother than butter. You guys are now free. Listen. We knew that the so-called white man was so treacherous and so deceitful that even when he came and told us that we was free, he was like, nah, you're right. It took us a while to even leave the plantation because he had to fully convince us. And it might even be in here. I'll bring it out one day if I find it, if it's even in this book. But it says once the slaves were fully convinced that no harm was going to come upon them for leaving the plantation is when we started to go look for our family. But before that, we wasn't leaving. You ain't finna sit up and tell me. Nah, because all I'm going to do is what happened. You might let me off of this plantation, but the plantation next door don't know. And they going to catch me and I'm going to die. Yeah, right. They had to convince us. Go ahead.
It said the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart.
But war was in his heart. Because again, like I said, even from the position of the North, who put the decree out to let us off of the plantation, they still had a covert way of applying that white supremacist mindset on us and keeping us in a very low place and keeping themselves up very high. And this is why it's telling us that the questions of Reconstruction remain challenges of today because it was never about equality. It was never about us being equal citizens. It was about us not getting to the point of wanting the same superiority that they had over us, which is a mindset we was getting into. Go ahead.
It says, his words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. They was drawing swords. They was drawing matches. They was drawing gasoline. I'm talking about they had all type of stuff to just destroy us. Right? Carlos, it's so funny. Carlos, you said that we're wannabe Hebrews. I'm sure you mean wannabe Israelites because there are many Hebrews. So if we're not Hebrews, then what are we? Are you saying that we're from the tribe of Ham or from the nation of Ham or the lineage of Ham? Excuse me. Is that what you're saying? Put it together, man. You got one more answer before I block you. So make it a good one. Carlos, you seem stressed. Oh, that's bro. I was about to say, listen, Shashan, yeah, he seems real stressed, man. All right? He ain't getting no loving at home. That's why he says, what does this got to do with girls? Because if you had a girl, Carlos, you wouldn't be on here bothering with us. How am I a slave, Carlos? Because I have people like you coming on here bothering me for no reason. Listen, wait. Just leave us. Watch this. Let's read it again. We simply desire that we should be recognized as men, that we have no obstructions in our place or placed in our way. That's why I'm a slave, Carlos, because the same thing that the people who had just been let off of plantations were begging for is the same thing that my people are begging for today. Just move out of my way and leave me alone. I don't come looking for you. I don't come into McDonald's teaching you or telling you how to dip fries. I don't do that. I don't tell you how to flip patties. I don't tell you how much special sauce you're supposed to put on the Mac, on the Big Mac. I don't tell you that. Yet here you are messing with me. I'm married now and I'm about to, wow. Carlos, have a good night. Carlos, listen, not only did you tell me what type of Hebrew you are, you told me what type of man you are, Carlos. And you know what type of man you are? Better. You're a beta male and you're a homosexual. He says, I'm married now. Yeah. And we know what she's doing to you, Carlos. All right. She's giving. Listen. She's sending you on a play action every night. All right. She's sending you on a play action flea flicker every night, Carlos. Good night. She got him in a 3-point. 4-point stance, actually.
He said, didn't Christ give Paul all the authority? No.
Never. No. But I wasn't even gonna explain that, right? I'm gonna tell you. No. You know. Listen. This is an open platform. I'm gonna tell you what this man just said. He says, "I'm married now, and I'm gonna go bust one for you." I said. Oh, no. But just think about this. This is how you know he's a white boy. Clearly, this is a white boy. Watch this. What sense does that even make? What sense? You gonna go do what with me on your mind or something?
Yeah, you're gonna go think about.
You're gonna go think about me. You're gonna go and engage in a sexual act with your wife on behalf of me. What type of homo adulterous shit is that? He's wild. These are the type of people in the listen. This is the Christian community for you. I don't care how many bugged out Israelites I've ever met, right? Whose doctrine I don't agree with. They've never said anything like that. Never. It's always the white Christians that are always trying to make something so very sexually perverted. But then they turn and they call us sexual perverts. Ain't that wild? Big pause. All right. As the Civil War came to an end, newly freed men, women, and children began to build new lives after slavery, purposefully in securing the things they needed to live as free citizens, including land, family, education, safety, and justice. The newly freed leveraged the support of the Bureau of Refugees, Freedmen, and Abandoned Lands, commonly known as the Freedmen's Bureau. In their interaction with Freedmen's Bureau, the newly freed demanded improved work conditions, legalized their marriages, sought to secure their families, and also reported instances of violence and injustice. Now, let me tell you something, right? Go to Deuteronomy 28:68. Show you guys something, right? Dealing with the Freedmen's Bureau. Something that I learned. Powerful stuff here, right? You know what Carlos is going to do? He's going to go find another Israelite platform and channel to go be gay in. To go be gay. Listen, I'm talking about it never fails. When I tell you it never fails, because these are the guys that sat at home and wanted to go and shoot the school up, but didn't have the heart to do it. So now they got to figure out other ways to terrorize people. You got it? Deuteronomy 28:68. Bring it up.
Book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
It says, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. Read.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
And in that place you shall be sold unto your enemies. Read.
For bondmen and bondwomen.
As bondmen and bondwomen. Read.
And no man shall buy you.
So, of course, for those of us who understand the Hebrew Israelite doctrine and breakdown of the scriptures, saying that we were going to go into a place of captivity, which is represented as Egypt here. And this is going to be a place where we're going to be sold on auction blocks or sold as we were on auction blocks for bondmen and bondwomen. No man shall buy you, meaning in the Hebrew to redeem, nobody was going to come and gather us. We have a small sect of the Hebrew Israelites, and even the so-called biblical scholars that oppose our doctrine say that this means that we were going to be taken into captivity and we were going to sell ourselves and nobody was going to buy us. No, that's fine. No, that's fine. Because when you read up in the history, right, where it just mentions right now, the newly freed slaves leveraged the support of the bureaus of refugees, freedmen, and abandoned lands, commonly known as the Freedmen's Bureau. What we were doing was, as I told you guys earlier about that abandoned church that they took over, guess what? We were doing the same thing with lands. Also, in order for us to be able to support ourselves and create a life for ourselves just for basic survival and so that we didn't get locked up, we had to go and literally sell ourselves back into slavery, right? So this is where you get things like sharecropping or people needed jobs. So what these plantation owners were doing, they were offering you a job, but they were making you sign contracts with them. So you couldn't go work for them, build your money up, and then leave. They were making you sign contracts with them. This was a way of how the South was continuing their supremacy over us. They said if you took a slave contract and you took the contract that we were signing with them as a means to have a job, they say the contracts were indistinguishable. You could not tell the difference between an actual slave contract and the contract that we were signing with these plantation owners just for us to work. Again, we had all of these skills. We had been working on these plantations our whole lives. We had the skill to build them up, but we had no land to do it on. Sometimes they would sell us land, but it was a land that was just hard to cultivate, or they would make us work. Or they, sometimes you had a couple of white folks that really just didn't care. They would sell you land, or you would even inherit some, right? As being a slave, and the slave master then died and moved on. Many different ways. But when they say we had to sell ourselves, and they try to say that that's the breakdown, it still works for us. We were voluntarily signing contracts that were indistinguishable from slave contracts in the very place that we were still brought to, sold on auction blocks, and no man had came and redeemed us from. We turned around and did the same thing that we was even trying to sell ourselves, but then guess what? As an incentive for us to continue to be locked up, a lot of times the slave owners didn't take us as employees. Sometimes a lot of us even had money to buy. So this is where, again, things like sharecropping comes in, where they say, listen, I'll lease the land from you, cultivate the land, and then me and you split the profits. See what I'm saying? Wild stuff. They still making money off of us because when they let us off, they never repaired us and brought us back to the place that we were at when they brought us over here on ships. Shoot, even before that, because before we were brought over here in ships, we was up under them damn Hamites. We've been in a messed up place for a long time, and guess what? The gospel's been around for a long time. Shouts out to Sakari San Francisco, man. Like, share the video, hit that bell, right? Subscribe to the channel. Sooner or later, man, we're going to start letting the Carloses onto the channel, man. Sooner or later. But even then, I don't want to give them opportunities to come on here and say some homosexual stuff. Yeah, to come on here and to be lascivious.
Sickly.
To be concupiscent. Sick. That was on that? Let's get some more, man. We want to legalize marriages. For what? That's another way, man. This is the beginning. The Emancipation Proclamation, Reconstruction era, is where we got off of the plantation and said, I want to be legally recognized as being married. For what? What do you need this your oppressor stamp of approval for? This is a problem.
See how it spiraled off today, man.
Here it is. Watch this. Labor contracts for Jack and his wife, Aaron and his son, Lewis, and his sons, and Lewis, South Carolina, 1866. Records of freemen complaints. Marriage registers. Texas and students of the freemen school. So this is saying with the pictures up here. It says through letters to the bureau agents, labor contracts, indentured agreements, building plans, and more, the records of the Freeman Bureau preserve the aspiration and the needs of the newly freed. This source of document evidence allows us to know more about the era of Reconstruction. And here's the thing too. Some of the things that I've even criticized within this video about how we were going about trying to get fair treatment, I can even recognize and understand how it was still necessary for us, because we were here. We had been 200 and something years removed from a land that we came from, where we was enslaved to. It is a big jump and it is a big stretch to just say, see, y'all should have just went back to the land of Israel. Like, It's a little bit of a stretch, right? And then for us to be here and for us to all not be on the same page, we scrambling around trying to find our family and trying to get things right without getting locked up. It is a bit of a stretch. So it was necessary for us to try to infiltrate the political parties so that we can get at least a little bit of treatment. Like I said, we wasn't even able to defend ourselves, right? Recognizing that, cool, all I'm doing is pointing out as how things were back then so that we can have a better way or we can have a different perspective now, and we can look at the things now through a different lens to say, now that we have an opportunity, let's look back to our own ways now. We have 170 years that serves as an example of what happens when we keep looking to our oppressor. I understand what our forefathers were going through when they let us off plantations. I get it. We didn't know no better. We know better now. We ain't got no excuses now.
So like even dealing with going back to Israel, we can't. Yahweh Shai told us said that you ain't gonna be worshiping or praying at this mountain anymore to the time of the Gentiles
be fulfilled. That's right. That's right.
So
again,
they're in Israel, and as long as they're in power, it's not until the Most High's call.
The Lord's got to take us back. The Lord is the one that's got to take us back. Which again, I understand. I don't want to make it seem like, oh, that's what y'all should have did. I'm saying, yeah, that's what we should have did. But I understand there was so much that we was up against. In the time we're in now, we could really make this happen. But as we have the mindset that, yo, let's put this in place, let's put this in place, let's put this in place to make it happen. As soon as we get to the place to actually make it happen, what's going to happen? The sky's going to crack. We ain't never going to actually have to do it ourselves. Let's position ourselves to make it happen. Once we do that, the promises will be fulfilled. The sky's going to crack. We're going to see the Son of Man returning as we watched him ascend into the heavens upon his resurrection. Why do we have? But we got to deal with the Carloses of the world first. Bearing witness or testifying about the lived experiences is one way for people to prove that something exists. In addition to the information they provided to the Freedmen's Bureau, newly freed African Americans told about their prior and ongoing experience in the post-emancipation years through various means such as government investigations, local newspapers, and community memory. Today, we often bear witness to our own lives in society through photography, journaling, scrapbooking, and social media, to name a few. So again, they have all of these different pictures, man. The handwriting is just really, really bad. Not even going to attempt to read it. Let's see. It says, throughout the Civil War, the question of what shall be done with the Negro was discussed, as the possibility of the emancipation of over 4 million people became more likely. Frederick Douglass, the self-emancipated orator, author, and passionate abolitionist, addressed this question at his 1865 speech to the Massachusetts Anti-Slavery Society. What I asked for, it says, what I ask for the Negro is not benevolence, not pity, not sympathy, but simply justice. The American people have always been anxious to know what they shall do with us. I have had but one answer from the beginning: do nothing with us. All I ask is give him a chance to stand on his own legs. Let him alone. So it's so funny, right? Listen, it shows you how even Cap, right? I have to learn more about, the history of us in America. I've always been turned off from it because it's like, white people telling you this, white people telling you that. It's like, I don't really care. I feel like for me, from the museum, it's telling it from our perspective. We're telling it from our voice and what we was going through, rather than some white woman sitting up in the front of some damn room telling you about what we were going through from the perspective of their scholars. That's where it's become a problem. So even when I'm sitting there saying, yo, it's this 8-foot screen and this guy that looks like Frederick Douglass, it was Frederick Douglass, right? Or allegedly, you said what? Frederick Douglass? Regardless, he was a slave and he was speaking from the perspective of a slave. Yeah. It says, let him alone. If you see him on his way to school, let him alone. Don't disturb him. If you see him going to dinner, see him going to the dinner table at a hotel, let him go. If you see him going to the ballot box, let him alone. Do not disturb him. If you see him going into a workshop, just let him alone. Your interference is doing him a positive injury. Let him fall if he cannot stand. If you will only untie his hands and give him a chance, I think he will live. These things are important, man. I ain't gonna lie, we have a lot more of this book. I'll go into it maybe next week. We'll finish it next Sunday. Tomorrow, of course, we're gonna finish Romans 8 and go into Romans 9. But they just said something. He just says something. Oh, he says, what I ask for the Negro is not benevolence, not pity, not sympathy, but simply justice. That's what we want as well. You know what the justice is for us? The book of Revelation, the 13th chapter, starting at the 10th verse. This is for all the Carl hoes of the world. Read out.
The book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 10.
Read.
He that leadeth into captivity.
He that leadeth into captivity.
Shall go into captivity.
Shall go into captivity. I don't need you to feel sorry for me, because that's what they're doing now. They try to pity us, right? They try to be nice, right? That's benevolence. They want to be nice to us. They want to pity us. What else did he say? They want to sympathize. And even their sympathy and their pity is like, yo, you're a traitor. Your forefathers did things to us to give you a better life, give you the opportunity to stand before me and lift your and to, what do you say, and to move your tongue against the child of God. That's what your forefather gave you opportunity to do. And you spit in their face when you should have started talking about how sorry you are for what they did. No. Trying to be nice to me, trying to be able to stand and hang out with me. You want to kick it with the cool kids. You ain't got a lot to kick it. You know, that's what we always say. You ain't got a lot to kick it. You proud of what they did because they gave you these opportunities. That's fine. I'm not mad at you. The point that I'm making is, when I get my seat at the table, take it with the same smile on your face as I had on mine. That's all we got to say. We don't want your pity. We don't want your sympathy. We don't want your benevolence. We just simply want justice. And he that leadeth into captivity shall what?
Go into captivity.
Shall go into captivity. Go ahead.
He that killeth with the sword.
You've led us into captivity. There's going to come a time where it's time for you to go. You've killed us with the sword. There's going to come a time where you're going to have to receive the same punishment. Read.
Must be killed with the sword.
Go ahead.
Here is the patience.
The saints of God, the Israelites, those slaves that were let off those plantations. Here is the what?
Here is the patience.
And what?
And the faith.
Of who?
Of the saints.
Of the saints of God. This is what we're faithfully and patiently waiting for. Let's get Isaiah 14 as well, just so we can just bring this thing home. Let's land this plane. That's all we want is justice. I want you to leave me alone and let's just get justice. Bring it out.
Isaiah chapter 14 from the top. The Lord will have mercy on Jacob.
Lord is going to have mercy on Jacob and do what?
And will yet choose Israel.
He's going to choose Israel. Read.
And set them in their own land.
We're going to get our own land back. I don't need you to be nice to me. I don't want you to give me my land back. All right? That's the point that they're trying to get to. I gave you your freedom. I can give you land too. No, because being in a position to give and then me being in a position to receive this gift, it destroys my mind of what needs to be done to you. You know what I'm saying? The gift of giving destroys my mind. Go ahead.
It says, and set them in their own land, and strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
And strangers are going to be joined with us, and they're going to be cleave to the house of Jacob. I don't want you to give me my land. I'm going to take my land, and then you're going to have to cleave unto me. Go ahead.
It says, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place.
And these people are going to take us and bring it to our place. Go ahead.
And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord.
See, because if you give me my land back, you're not going to give yourself as a possession as well. You can't, and this is the thing now. I ain't even gonna go that route. You can't give if you give yourself as a possession unto me, it's almost like you're still retaining the authority, power, and right to take yourself away from being a possession unto me. I want to take my land back, and then I'm going to take you as a possession. In chains. Fetters. And fetters of iron.
That's a lot more pleasurable.
See what I'm saying? I'm satisfied now. If you give it to me, absolutely.
It's like somebody take your chain.
Come on,
bro.
bro.
Give your chain back. I'm gonna take this chain.
And then take that chain back. They said, hey, funny thing is, they said that about Chris Brown, bro.
See that?
They said somebody came rob Chris Brown for his chain. They said he went, found where it was at, knocked on the door, and before he even talked about the chain, he said, hey, I need both they fade. Feel me? Went, bing, 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 him up, Bookets. Got his chain back. It's, you know what I'm saying? You don't want somebody giving you nothing. You take something, the respect comes with it. The reverence comes with it. You feel me? Finish it.
It says, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land for servants and handmaids.
For servants and handmaids.
And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were.
We're going to take these people captives, whose captives we were. That's justice. Go ahead. It ain't done.
And they shall rule over their oppressors.
We're going to rule over our oppressors. That's the justice we want. I don't want you to be nice to me. I want you to really fight hard. I want you to fight tooth and nail, blood, sweat, and tears. I want you to fight for your freedom. I want you to fight for your land. I want you to fight for what you feel like is right. And I want you to lose. I want you to go out on your sword. Go out on your shield. And to know that a black man took you down. Grapple him, tackle him, take him to the floor, break him to the core. Right? Go ahead. Verse 3.
And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest.
In the day that the Lord is going to give us rest. See, that's the thing. They keep wanting to be the ones to give us the rest. You're not going to give it to us. The Lord is going to give it to us. Read.
From thy sorrow and from thy fear.
From thy sorrow and from thy fear. Read.
And from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve.
In the hard bondage that we was made to serve. That's the justice. And we're not going to attain that through any type of being nice, any type of sympathy, or any type of pity. No, we're going to take it because we deserve it, and we're going to show you how much we deserve it as we're looking you in your eye, taking the strength away from you. And with that, we give all honor, glory, and praise to the Most High God, Abanawa Yahweh. We do so in the name of His only begotten Son, Mashiach Yahweh Shai. Everybody go like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Also go like and subscribe to the Critically Captive channel. Yeah, we'll be back on tomorrow at 5 p.m., Lord willing. Going and finishing this Romans 8 and this Romans 9 breakdown. A lot of information there, man. It's really been taking us a few weeks because it's so much to kind of pack in or to unpack, so to speak. Tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern. Hope everybody had a blessed Shabbat and Shalom.